Before we look at my essay and the strategy and the organization for that, I want to touch base on a simplification of the essay that I wrote. My essay is very complicated, and we'll see why in a minute. But let's take a look at a strategy plan for a focused, narrow-lined essay. Most every argument essay begins with a why. Why is my father suffering from Alzheimer's, and what can be done about that? And then I'm going to research 3 different avenues for healing or comfortability for that. And that's going to be my formula. And so I just have a simple one here for why did these people do these bad things. That could be everything from Hitler to the Enron scandal to any number of things that where good people, normally good people, turn around and do bad things, really bad things. Okay, so then, of course, my introduction always starts with my interest. The formula is referenced from which book. And so for this, it's seducing people into evil. And so I'm going to go over to, while I did is just Google, and I'll show you. Let's go over to Google real quick. I typed into Google simply, what makes good people do bad things? And here comes an article. Now I can evaluate this article very quickly to see if it's going to be something that helps me determine my organization, my strategy. First, it comes from the APA, so I know that it's going to be a legitimate article, and it's not from Wikipedia, it's not from any of that stuff, so I know it's a good article. And then I'm looking down here, and I'm going to see, okay, she wrote this, good for her. And then I'm going to roll down here, and I'm going to see if there's a structure, and there is. Seduced into evil, and look at all these bullet points. For these bullet points, I'm going to pick 3, the rule of 3. The reason that we always want to do the rule of 3 is because that's the organization plan for an argument essay. Just about anything, really. In comedy, it's the rule of 3. In writing, it's the rule of 3. And there may be subsections, as you will see in the essay that I wrote, but the formula is in 3s. So I would consider what it is that I wanted to explore, what good people did bad things. And then I go ahead and research those people and find out what they did. And when I find out what they did, and I go over here to my outline, and I find out what it is that they did, I go ahead and begin to fill out this definition section before I necessarily know the 3 things. What happened? What did these people do? Was it a gang situation? Was it the Enron people? Was it major corporations one way or another killing off small businesses? What is it exactly that happened? So then when I look at that, I'm going to think to myself, what is it that inspired these people to do the thing that they did? And that's when I'm going to go back to this article, and I'm going to look at the 3 things that would apply to my particular circumstance. And of course, they need to be 3 in the general thing. Most of them are going to say making exiting the situation difficult. That's got to be one of them, doesn't it? Because once you're in, you're in. And at a certain point, you're in so far, it's like, man, there's no turning back. So that's an important one that I think is going to end up on most lists. But now we have to choose 2 more. The initial thing, an ideology to justify beliefs. That was Hitler's deal. It's us against them. We're better than them. That's his ideology. So if I was doing that one, then that one would be included. Make people take a first small step towards a harmful act with a minor trivial action, and then gradually increase those small actions. That's going to apply to some groups and not to some others. That might apply to a gang. It might apply to something, but I'm thinking back of a student who wrote an essay on Guantanamo and the way that the guards had become very animalistic and So that was one of the things he looked at, the torture thing. Make those in charge just seem just like a just authority. And transform. Now, some of these, I'm going to pick 3 for the major sections of my essay. But that doesn't mean that I can't use one of them in the setting up of my strategy. Right? So I can look at the person who's in charge. And I can go ahead and add that, just that information about that person right over here in the definition section. I have this section set up in my essay so that I can explain to the reader anything that the reader needs to know to set up my formula. So the person who was in charge needs to be indicated, and so that is a point that will go in there. These 3 points are reserved for the in-depth points that I'm going to be reviewing. Let's look. So one of the 3 things I might want to pick to go into detail on is this transformation of a once compassionate leader into a dictatorial figure. The head of the state says, okay, I'm really for everybody, I'm really for all of you, and I want everything to be great, and then people buy in, and people get to that point where they're not accepting any information other than what supports what this authority figure is saying. And then the next thing you know, that same authority is saying, okay, you do what I say. It's an order. I order you to close down your businesses. I order you to do this, that, or the other. Now, that's a change. As you can see, a discussion of this particular point is going to take some time. It's more than just a sentence that explains how this person came to be. So that's what I mean by that. So when you choose your topic, the first thing you want to do is find something that has some bullet points so you can organize your essay. And then you can play around with your outline and set your outline up so that you go into depth, the origins of the formula. That would be the book that you studied. Not only the book, but oh my gosh, you're going to find at least lots and lots of other sources. That's not your be-all end-all. That's where you got your formula. That article, that's where the formula came from. But you're going to get all kinds of information and images and graphs, all that kind of stuff. So this is where you want to go over all of the sources that you find that are going to support your essay. And that's why you need far more than just 3 citations on EasyBib, okay? And then 1, 2, and 3. Then your position. How does all this affect you? Where have you seen that happen in your life? Where have you seen others happen in their lives, and so forth? And then your position on how you think, given all this information, the situation worked. And that's where you become a position paper. Well, actually, whenever you come over here and you have your position, you've got to find somebody that disagrees. Now, in these formulas for why people do bad things, lots of people have opinions. So you find the opinion that you want to build your formula on, and then you can find other people who say something different. Maybe somebody would say, well, they were just lined up wrong with the stars. Or they would say, well, Jesus, they did it because they had fallen in with the devil. And so they have that rationale rather than a behavioral modification rationale, which is what this theory would be. And you can do that too. You can switch over and use that. You have such freedom with an essay. And remember, I'm here to help you when you get ready to organize that. You can email me questions, or I can set up a Zoom meeting with you and we can go over the formula. Once you get that formula set, then writing the essay is heaven. That concludes this tutorial on strategy and creating a formula.